Hello, everybody, and welcome back to All Things Medical Assistant. I'm your host, Santi Notes, for this podcast. And first and foremost, I want to thank all of those that have returned to continue to listen to what it is that I have to say. And if you're a new listener, thank you for stopping by. And if you find this podcast interesting and entertaining and informative, please continue to listen and forward to anybody else that you feel might find it such as well. And thanks for listening. And hopefully we can learn a little bit together. And as well, you can find me at allthingsmedicalassistant.com. It is a website dedicated to the podcast, and there as well you will find every podcast uploaded in chronological order. And for the past couple of episodes, you will find these videos as well uploaded, a recording of me producing the podcasts. And also online, there's a space where you can leave comments, concerns, questions, which I will address at the next podcast. So please, go ahead and communicate with me. And also, you can find me at All Things Medical Assistant on YouTube. Again, you'll find the videos uploaded for your viewing pleasure. And if you find this interesting again, and you like what you see and want to keep up with what it is I have to say, please subscribe, hit that bell, get notified, and that'd be just great. And thank you for supporting this. Okay, hopefully, seeing people are coming back and listening to what I'm having to say. I'm hoping I'm making sense, and my opinions are not too biased. So again, thank you for listening and for viewing. So excuse me. So today I want to talk about this whole thing when it comes to the surge in coronavirus being diagnosed in individuals, the surge and spike in testing. Well, what really bugs me about this is that the administration, the president and his lackey, are out there announcing that we are finding so many more exposures because we are testing that much more. Well, no shit, that's how it works. I don't understand. I don't know why it's such a big concept to people that if you test, you confirm or you deny. But to me, what it is that they're using that, and other individuals and agencies are using that and saying, well, but look at admissions and deaths are at an all-time low. It's not a justification. It's not a justification. The testing has always been the point in trying to fight this. The vaccination has always been the point to fight this virus. It wasn't to justify low deaths with high diagnostic. That just doesn't make sense. So you're telling me that just because we're finding more and more people exposed, it's okay that less and less are dying. Well, you know what? To me, and this is to everybody out there who thinks that, who thinks this stupid way. But to me, why should anybody have to die? Why does the death of the few, seem so much more less important because we're finding more exposures? Again, no shit. That's how it works. You test people, you find it, and you study it, and you find a way to control it. And we all know this. If we could find a way to intercept this virus, meaning, we could find and control the proliferation of this virus, a vaccination that is effective, then we can truly, truly, truly begin to control this whole pandemic. Plus, if we could just get everybody on the same page, this is July 3rd. It is a little bit after 12 o'clock. And I'm watching the news, and I'm watching stories about the beaches opening up and people getting ready and people, that's how this happens. That's why the states are going into mandated wearing masks, mandating that bars are closed, mandating that restaurants close, because this is how the damn thing spreads. So you're going to tell me that it's okay to go out and congregate and cause a probable continued exposure because less people are dying and there's less admissions? Oh, and you're probably one of the people that say, well, it'll never happen to me. Okay, well, whatever. Go along your life and hopefully it doesn't affect you. Because I'll tell you, it's pretty disturbing to see people that have lost their jobs, whose families cannot even, even pay bills, whose children's education has been affected. My daughter, our 5-year-old, uh, has had to be home since they started this whole closure of the schools. And thank God that, her parents have jobs in the healthcare field that, that we've been able to maintain and continue to provide for her. And, she has a grandmother lives in the home as well. So she's very fortunate. But there's not, but not many people. I would say the majority of a lot of people here just don't have those resources to have somebody for daycare, that don't have the means to feed and everything. And I know a lot of you are probably sitting out there saying, well, that's not my problem. I'll take care of my own, and as long as my family's okay, that's fine. Or, it's unfortunate that there's people out there that think that way, previous podcasts that I've done, other videos that I've made, I've spoken about being a steward of the community. I'm not talking about love thy neighbor like you love yourself or whatever, but to be, to be mindful of people out there. To be mindful of people that have needs and necessities as well. Those of you that have ways and means, if you can, give back to the community, because that's what we've been doing. And it's been a great thing. So yeah, so just be good stewards of the community. Well, back to this whole search thing. Yeah, there's I think it's California, Arizona, Florida, or a few other states that have had to close, that have had to regress back into phase. Well, why? Because people are not listening. Obviously. People want to go out there. People want to have their fun. People want to, kids, college, the 4th of July tomorrow. And I understand all that, and I understand that it's not fair that, everybody has to change plans, dump plans or make changes. But unfortunately, that's just the way it is. And it's interesting because these people because I know quite a few individuals that have been defiant towards this and have come out positive. And then they're worried. Oh, and then they get worried. And they're like, I need to get better. Now it's all about them. Well, again, I'm sorry that you have to be that way. And if ignorance is truly bliss for you, then that's fine. Then I ask that those of you that are ignorant and don't want to listen to reason, or in this time, take the fact that this is happening as something real, then just go about your way, because I do not have the energy to put into convincing people. That's why I do these podcasts, to give my opinion, and hopefully maybe I can give people a change in point of view or something to think about, excuse me, or, the chance to call in, the chance to message, the chance to leave a comment, and we can go over it. My energy is geared towards me going to work, and taking care of people, assisting in testing and providing care for those that need it. That's my energy. My energy is better towards taking care of my family, my daughter primarily. So those of you that just don't want to listen, or the ignorant ones, you can stop listening to the podcast now, or you can listen. If you continue listening, maybe there's a light of hope, within you. You're not totally on the dark side yet. But yeah, so the surge in exposures and testing is very unfortunate, because these are the reasons why things are still going backwards. These are the reasons why we're having to regress into phases. Now, how does all this affect me as a medical assistant? Well, I have to worry again about exposure. I have to worry again about bringing anything of any sort home to my family. I'm worried about that every day. If I come around somebody with shingles, if I come around somebody, with, during the flu season or whatever, that I'm going to bring it back and pass it on to family or my child, And it stresses out coworkers as well, just like it stresses out nurses and doctors and everybody, and that kind of a stress can be very, very heavy for an individual. That kind of a stress can cause an individual to make, not so sound decisions. It can tire people out. Just like everybody out there that works a full-time job or or that does anything that expands their energy. When you get tired, you get to that end of the day and you're tired, it's hard to, it's hard to keep that composure. Well, let me tell you, in medicine, we make decisions on the fly, if not minute by minute, to keep people safe. I mean, you see it. You hear stories, you go into an emergency room, someone's choking, or they're anaphylactic, or someone's having a heart attack. That's what we do in emergency medicine, is we intercept and treat those problems to give the patient the best chance at continuing their life. So already when I see, and I love what I do, don't get me wrong, I love what I do. I've been in emergency medicine 28 years and I can't see myself doing anything else. And that's what I do. And that's what I've signed up for. It's what I've signed up for, to be in the middle of things, to be exposed. So I'm not complaining about the exposure, but I am concerned for my family. I am concerned for coworkers. Being able to work with individuals that come in that think that this is all a joke. That's really tough in a medical setting, when someone comes in for help, but on the same breath, it's like, yeah, well, this thing is a joke. Yeah, it happens. It's out there. Or there are people that are still asking me, hey, is this really a serious thing? Oh my God, what do you think? Is it a serious thing? No. The governors and mayors are just doing what they're doing for the fun. It's a drill. No. Don't be ignorant. Take time to understand. If you put maybe this much, maybe like a pinky's worth of energy into taking consideration as to what's going on and how to be safe, into actually something positive, this would be a lot better place, and it sucks because, 4th of July celebrations are being canceled, all these changes, gyms are going to remain closed, and it's brought so many people against each other, it's sparked so much hatred, and then with everything else going on, this doesn't help. I mean, this virus has put us into a corner. It's caused a quarantine. It's caused such a dramatic change in life that we're not used to, but that we have to abide by. Because if we don't abide by it, businesses are going to continue to close. People are going to continue to lose their jobs. There's going to be a continued threat of exposure, continued threat of, increased hospitalizations and increased deaths. Because if you don't have to be a statistician or mathematician to understand that, even though this administration and his lackey, the vice president, think that, yeah, we're finding more exposures because we're testing more. Well, good. You should have done that in the beginning. So what are you saying? What I'm actually hearing is, you're actually getting off your ass and doing your job and testing appropriately. And just because you find, more and more people being, coming out positive is not a justification for, oh, well, but there's, like I was saying, but there's less admissions and there's deaths are at all-time low. Well, if you think even one death is is worth it, that's fine. You see, this pandemic going on, to me, is partly uncontrollable. Because yes, we've learned how to treat, we've learned what to do, we've learned how to sustain homeostasis or life when someone comes in affected or sick. But the uncontrolled half is, that vaccination, that testing, and that's the half that, excuse me, that we need to get a hold of, and then, once we do that and we're able to identify the asymptomatic people, we're good. Because for all of you smartasses who think you know it all and agree with this, the higher testing and lowered it, whatever, but do you understand that with a higher incidence of exposure, there's a chance of increased admissions again. There's a chance of increased deaths again. So finding an increase in exposures is not exclusive. It's married to the fact that there's a possibility that there could be an increase in admissions again, an increase in deaths. And I'll tell you something. There may be a decrease in admissions and a decrease in deaths, but here's an important fact to remember. That decrease in deaths has a lot to do, excuse me, boy, has a lot to do with our frontline workers taking care of these sick people and keeping them alive and administering those skills and performing those skills that they've learned on the fly with this virus. That's why. That's one of the reasons why. Now, unfortunately, there have been those that have been hit so hard that they've passed away, and that's unfortunate. But yeah, a lot more are being brought back and being, been given, health again because of those that are on the front line taking care of it. ERs, PD, fire department, medics, urgent cares, because of those that willfully choose to be out there to put themselves, that is the reason why. So when I spend my days at work as a medical assistant, which I love to do, which I love to meet people, and I provide damn good care, I do a great job because I take pride in it, and I love what I do. But it's very frustrating when you've worked a life career, and something like this happens, and you've got people that are purposefully, willfully, and knowingly ignorant and want to make it about Democrat, Republican, whatever. Man, I hope you don't get it. Everybody out there that doesn't, like I was mentioning before, that doesn't have the means, the poor people, the less fortunate, the indigent people, and all you people that are ignorant to or choose to be ignorant because you're too scared to face the truth are saying, well, that's not my fault. That's not my problem. Well, you're right. It's not your fault. It is not your problem. It is not because of you that they're in that place. But you know what? They're human nonetheless. And they deserve a comfortable life. Whether a homeless chooses to be homeless and continue to be homeless, that's fine. But he does deserve, or she does, they do deserve a healthy life. Poor children, whether you're Hispanic, Black, or white, who don't have the means to eat or go to school, that's not your problem, Mr. Blissfully Ignorant, Miss Blissfully Ignorant. We understand that's not your problem, but it's a conscience heavy on those that do care and try every day and work hard to make sure that those of less means, have a way to get by. While you out there are just, and I'm not asking you to open your wallets. I'm not going to ask you for nothing. I'm not going to ask you to join a subscription. All I'm saying is that if you can, kind of pivot your attitude a little bit and see what it is that's going on out there. And at least acknowledge the fact that it's unfortunate rather than saying, well, it's none of my business. Well, then unfortunately, well, I don't want to say I'll get in trouble. For sure, I know if I say that. But so again, going back to the issue, this increase in exposures, it's just hard on everybody all across the board. In my clinic, there's been an incremental increase in those walking in, testing, even though a small amount of those that have come in to be tested are positive, because we're still seeing quite a bit of positives. It shouldn't have to be that there's still positives out there. It shouldn't have to be that there's still people out there getting sick by this. And why? Because of those that choose not to social distance, because those that choose not to be considerate of what's going on, those that choose to just be, their own person and family. I get it. This all sucks. I didn't want to have to stay home. I want to go to the bars and I want to go, I want to do a lot of things, I want to continue my love of hiking, camping, and all that. And I want to take my daughter out and do things with her, take her to the playground and all that. And I can't do that. It's just cheating her of her life. At least I'm adult enough to know how to respond and manage the best life possible. But she's only 5. She doesn't deserve to have her life yanked away by a virus that hit, that I totally believe that somebody knew about, and somebody should have done something about it way long time ago. And that's documented, not just media-wise, but it's documented in print. And it's documented by his own words acknowledging. That's the frustrating part. You want to talk politics? You want to get involved politically? Yeah. This administration knew about it. And not only, knew about it. They've got the guy taped. They've got the guy on film, camera, whatever. But all of the ignorance want to say, oh no, it was doctor this and that. Man. Oof. Anyways. So, obviously this is an unfortunate, situation and circumstance that has happened. And I'm tired. Some days I let what shouldn't be personal become personal. Some days I let the unbiased become biased. Because I'm tired. That definition of insanity, doing the same thing over again, expecting a different outcome. This is a perfect example of that. Perfect example. But, I have, a promise that's been made to my career that I'm going to do the best that I can no matter what. Over the years, when I was a medic, I was in many situations that were just horrible, and I had to make an unbiased call and do the right thing. That I had to keep my opinion out of and do the right thing. All healthcare workers go through that, including doctors and nurses, in ERs, in ORs, Those of us in healthcare have the ability to, to lower that internal dialogue and to let shine through the moral and ethical thing to do. And unfortunately, like everything else, you always have those few that come out and screw the system and whatever, but they get their own. So that's just that's just my take on what's been going on this week, and it's tiring, but I will continue to go to work. I will continue to be happy, and I'll continue to do the right thing. Unlike people that claim to be doing the right thing, unlike administrations that claim to be doing the right thing, unlike people that are using facts that don't make sense and creating examples that don't make sense and have nothing to do with anything. So, those of you that are medical assistants or that are healthcare workers in any of the other capacity that are exposed to this, my hat's off to you. Kudos, I commend you. I'm very, very proud of you, and don't stop being proud of yourself. Know at the end of the day that you've done an amazing job, that you've done the right thing, and that you willingly know that you go back to work every day doing the right thing. And I'm going to include lab technicians. I'm going to include people that work front desks. I'm going to include environmental, cleaning crews. I'm going to include security guards. All the people you don't hear about, because of all of these components together are the job allowed to be done. It's not just the doctors. It's not just the nurses. You'd be surprised if you were to look at the demographic of the healthcare system. There's this huge sector of medical assistants, lab technicians, pharmaceutical technicians. The skills that you learn, the technical skills, and somebody that has been in the field 28 years, I want to say thank you. Do not give up. Unfortunately, we have to deal with this until it turns for the better. But just know that those of you in the healthcare field that are working this, you're doing what needs to be done. fire department, police. You're doing what needs to be done. You're doing what needs to be done to deal with the evil that's happening. And don't give up. Be proud of yourself. Be proud of the fact that when you wake up the next day tired because you feel like you just took a nap and going back to work, and at the end of the work week, you're so tired you can't even play with your kids. Be proud of yourself that you are tired because of the work that you've done. Okay? All right. Please, everybody out there, not just medical staff, everybody out there, please be safe. All right, so if you're listening to me on anchor.fm, please send me a voice message if you have oh, wait. Let me talk about one more thing. I hate having to wear a mask all day long. I hate having to wear a mask at work for 10 to 12 hours and then having to wear a mask in society for another Lord knows how long. You know, I hate it, but it's a necessity. So let's get on the fucking board and do it. Let's all get on board and do it, okay? And these idiots that come out on TV, what that one chick was saying, you cannot regulate my breathing. You cannot control my breathing. Who's controlling your breathing, dumbass? We're asking you to wear a mask so you don't airdrop, you know, or spew your spit in case you're one of the asymptomatics. That's what it is. It's we wear masks to keep everybody safe more than we do it to keep ourselves safe. And that other dumb shit chick who said, what did she say? She said, oh yeah, that wearing masks kill people. Well, hell, I've never heard of anything. And I've been a surgical technologist since 2004. And I've worn masks many a time. I've never heard of anybody wearing a mask. Now, there are people that have anxiety. They get anxiety. That's understandable. But nobody has ever died from wearing a mask. Please. It is a common and has been a practice since the beginning of time. Well, of medicine anyways. So those of you that might have seen that, oh my God, horrible. So please, I know. Anyways. So if you're listening to me on anchor.fm, please send me a voice message with a concerned comment, something you'd like to talk about. I'll address it at next week's podcast. And if you're listening to me on Apple, go ahead when you get home or at work, look me up at allthingsmedicalassistant.com, and there you'll find a space for comment, concern, suggestions, and I'll address that at next week's podcast. And for the rest of you, please look for me on YouTube, All Things Medical Assistant, and I'll have that up probably within the next day or so. Again, this is July 3rd, and leave your public comments there so people can see whether they're good, bad, upset, whether they've struck a chord or whatever. Just, thank you for stopping by. So again, allthingsmedicalassistant.com. Look for me on YouTube, and if you have enjoyed this on an informative level, please subscribe, hit that bell to get notification for the next upload, and hopefully we come into something together. Okay, all right. Well, again, this is Santino Tez for All Things Medical Assistant. Please be safe, and we'll talk to you soon.